Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mystic Sisters with Gabby and Amy. I'm Gabby. Amy's not here with me today. She's being a Sagittarius and off having fun and partying and traveling. And I do miss her dearly, but she'll be back soon and we'll be able to do another video together soon. So here's what we're going to do today. So this is our first live reading. I'm very excited. And this is a very special live oracle reading. So we are in that beautiful time of year where we're moving out of autumn and into winter. And it's the perfect opportunity to reflect, give thanks, and connect with the mystical energy of the season. And I'm so excited to be using one of my favorite decks today, the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle, because it really helps us tap into the energy of harvest, gratitude, and transformation. So today I'll be pulling cards to help us all reflect on our personal journeys, release what no longer serves us, and see what blessings we've gathered throughout the year. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'd love to pull a card just for you. So let me know when you're ready for that as well. Let's harvest our blessings together and embrace the magic of this time of year. So first, I'm going to go ahead and light some incense. And this is my favorite incense. This is the apple cinnamon, and I love it so much. So we're just going to light a little bit of incense, kind of get the vibes going. I don't normally do incense in this room, so hopefully the vibes are the only thing that's going and not the smoke alarm. But we'll deal with that if we have to. Yes. Okay. All right. So let's get that incense back here. Okay, I wasn't sure if we'd be able to see it, but I can see it. And then let's go ahead and get started. And again, we are working with the Seasons of the Witch, the Samhain Oracle. I love the Seasons of the Witch series, so I'm excited that we'll have more to do once we get into the winter season as well. But this is the perfect way to move from fall into winter. Let me just adjust my camera just a little smidgy. There we go. All right, so for our first pull, what we're going to do is just a general collective reading for the entire group. So we're going to begin by pulling a few cards for the collective. What guidance do we all need today as we transition into winter? And what should we be focusing on right now? Sorry if that's a little noisy. I especially think this is important as we move into Thanksgiving. So we will be doing a Thanksgiving pull from the deck as well. And then I do have a couple other decks handy. So when we get through this one, if we want to, we can do a few more readings as well. All right, so what guidance do we all need today? Okay, and we had one jump right out. All right, let me show this to the camera. So the card that just jumped out is the Witch card, aptly enough. And what we're seeing with this card is grab hold. Allow the dwelling fire within belly. Allow the, why can't I read today? I don't know. Allow the dwelling fire within belly awaken all that is. A mere glimpse, a delicate pull at the very roots living in the alchemy of self. So I love oracle cards because they're really intuitive and it's a little bit less structured than tarot. And so sometimes we can get some really strong messages. So what do we need to know for the week? Which is you've got a fire burning in you, and let that awaken yourself. And I think that that's really kind of fun going into Thanksgiving, is we really need to honor ourselves and have gratitude for what we're getting externally and internally. So I kind of like that, awakening the fire within. And I'm going to pull another card. And depending on how these messages play out, I'm going to do 3 total for this what do we need to know going into this week reading. But depending on how that turns out, we might look at the guidebook just for some deeper messages, since we know that the guidebook for these oracle decks is really good. So what does the collective need to know for this week as we move into winter and as we get closer to Thanksgiving? That one just jumped right out, and the next one is not. Oh, here we go. All right. So the second card for the collective today is Ancestors. Look at that. I love that. They hiss a quivering so deep, only roots of your soil can lift the nakedness hidden within the vows made in silence. An ancient chill walking upon the spine. Okay, I love that. And that's such a great message coming out of, Halloween that we just had, because we're still in that kind of liminal period between fall and winter where ancestor magic and the messages from ancestors are so important. An ancient shell walking down the spine, they hiss a quivering so deep, only roots of your soil can lift the nakedness hidden within the vows made in silence. So I really think this is about listening to your ancestors. So we had the witch card and about like awakening the fire within from, that core that's in your belly. And then we're also listening to the messages of your ancestors as we move into winter. And winter is such an amazing spiritual time because we do go into a little bit of a physical hibernation. And during that time, it's really when we rest and recharge our batteries, but it's when we really also contemplate ourselves, our place in the universe, how we're doing, what our role is. And so as we move into that phase, I think it's really good to listen to what's inside of you and also listen to the wisdom of your ancestors. So I think that's a really powerful one as well. All right, so let's go for the last card for this portion of the reading. What does the collective need to know? And we do have someone with us. So I'd love to know when I'm shuffling the cards, is it too loud while I'm talking or is it okay? It's kind of hard to tell how the audio gets picked up sometimes. And the smell of that apple cinnamon incense right now is so good. I'm really loving it. This one is a little grabbier. These cards are a little stickier than some of the other seasons of the witch one. They're beautiful though. I love the red, and then you can see the hands grasping at the moon. So I really love this deck quite a bit, but these cards are pretty sticky with each other. What does the collective need to know? All right, this is the one that is coming out. Apples. That's so funny since we're doing the apple cinnamon incense today. All right, Jeremy says the shuffling doesn't seem too loud. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. I was really self-conscious of talking while I was shuffling, so thank you for letting me know. And thank you for joining us, Jeremy. It's so good to have you. All right, this card is apples, and oh my goodness, I love this. This is definitely giving Snow White, Evil Queen vibes, right? And she's like clutching at her apples and looking a little pinched, but let's see what the card says. To taste, one must swallow it whole, and beneath the satin flame hides drowning waters. Okay, I'm going to need to look that one up because my intuition is not jumping out at me on that one. So we pulled the witch card, the ancestors card, and the apples card, and let's look them up in reverse order because I think the apples one is the one that I'm like the least like intuitively connecting with. So let's see what the guidebook has to say about that one. Okay, this is a really good guidebook, by the way. I know we're not doing a flip through or a deck review, but it just had a lot of sample spreads in here. So, I love that. Okay, so let's look at the apples card, which is so funny. This one actually tried to come out with the ancestors card, like they were stuck together, and I put it back because I wasn't sure, and then it came out again. So this apples one is significant because it really wanted us to look at it today. So let's see what it has to say. The key words are deception, mistrust, and rotten. And yes, this is supposed to be giving Snow White. I'm going to lean back in my chair for this one because this is going to be lengthy. Okay. Tilt down just a little bit more. All right. We all know the story of Snow White taking the apple from her stepmother who masquerades as a sweet old crone. And it's a wise old tale that existed long before Disney ever made it into a movie, and a warning that things are not always as they seem. Sometimes our greatest enemy is hiding behind the mask of a savior. Death is infused into something meant to give us life, right? The poison in the apple. And someone pretending to be our friend is luring us into a trap. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was on TikTok this morning and saw a reading, and that came up in tarot too. This message of like, a friend is betraying you. And I know that often comes up in tarot readings, but I don't see that as much in Oracle. So really kind of, pay attention that that's coming up right now. There are rotten people in the world who will take advantage of those who trust without pause. They come bearing gifts to gain your trust. Wow. Their faces are in all shapes, sizes, and colors. These people always get their due one way or another. When an apple appears in your spread, it is a warning to pause before making any decisions about someone or a situation. You do not have all of the facts yet, and there could be danger for you now. Betrayal and deception are likely, so be vigilant. You must tread carefully until everything comes to light. This is especially true for you if you have also pulled the seduction card. We did not. Someone may be taking advantage of you or setting you up for failure. Yikes. Okay. So just looking at this, I actually want to look at the witch card too, because what we got here was kind of like listening to yourself with the witch card, which we're going to look up. The ancestor card, which is like listening to the messages from your ancestors, and then kind of being cautious before making a decision because what looks sweet is hiding poison. And so it sounds like you need to be able to give any decision time and be really mindful about listening to your ancestors and yourself. But let's see what that witch card meant, because that one, I haven't seen that as much before either. And I think that might be the key on this reading. I have to admit, I'm just going to be honest here, whenever I get all those readings from tarot and stuff on TikTok where it's like, your friend is going to betray you and someone's envious of you. Like, I hear this all the time. Someone's jealous of you. Someone's out to get you. I have to admit, I'm like, oh, they're just doing it for the views. You know what I mean? Like, how can that always come up? And then the fact that that's coming up in my oracle reading too, I'm like, maybe there is something there on this one. All right, the witch card. Scoop back up again. Okay. The key words here are wisdom and alchemy. Grab hold, allow the dwelling. Oh, wait, and then it just repeats what's on the card. Okay, so wisdom and alchemy. And then, hello, beloved witch. You are the center of this card. Your energy, your strength, your wisdom. A witch taps into the healing powers of the earth and the wisdom of the powers that be, as well as the energy within us all. A witch can move energy to create any life of choice. A witch knows how to see signs in everything around her. So again, this is looking for signs, right? A witch uses her potions and spells to give healing and hope to all who seek her guidance, using her gifts for the good of all, to heal and to nourish. When the witch appears, believe that you are wiser than you know, and the thousands of years of wisdom from the wise ancient ones are available to you now. If you are finding your path to magic, this card is confirmation that you should continue to explore your craft. If you are an experienced witch, know that it's time to dig even deeper. Perhaps step up as a priestess and start your own coven. This message is even stronger if you have pulled the healer card, which we did not. So yeah, this to me is about trusting your own guidance and your own wisdom, but also using that wisdom to forge your path, depending on where you are now. So I like the part where it says, if you're in the beginning, whether I think it's beginning, which are kind of beginning of anything, maybe someone is always out to get someone. Okay, Jeremy, yes, maybe, but I do have to say that's a little cynical, but I think you know that. But yes, thank you for the comment. But yes, maybe someone is always out to get somebody. That's a little depressing. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. But yeah, the witch card is telling us to either dig deeper and continue on our path, whatever we're on, or it means it might be time for us to step up as a leader if we are more experienced. So I think that's a really profound statement. And I think if you combine that with the apples card, I think it's also telling us we don't always need these gifts, these sweet gifts that people are trying to give us. Sometimes I feel like this is telling us we're enough on our own. We just need to make sure we're following the right path and we know what our own next step is, but maybe don't get distracted by the apples people are trying to give us. You don't actually need them. That's actually really resonating with me personally, and I don't know if it is for you as well. So while we're here, let's go ahead and take a look at the ancestors card. I really connected with that one, especially coming out of All Hallows Eve. All right, so let's look at the ancestors card. And again, I'm just going to show you this lovely artwork. And you can see the ancestors underground, and then someone's behind that tree. Like they're always with you. So the key words here are protection and guidance. Your ancestors are always with you, protecting you. They watch over you and keep you from harm's way. They are present, telling you that it is safe to go forward and you absolutely need to. You feel them with you. So the ancestors are just like the witch card telling you to keep going, keep moving forward. They also protect you from things you cannot see, like someone trying to put a hex on you or someone who is talking about you behind your back, right? These threats never make it to you because your ancestors have protected you without you having to ask. Maybe this explains why I keep hearing that someone's like trying to backstab and talk behind the back, and I'm always like blissfully ignorant of it. Maybe it's the ancestors protecting me, both from the knowledge of the harm and from the harm itself, right? They want what is best for you and they love you unconditionally. That's really sweet. Rest easy. You have chosen this card because you are being protected and guided, even if you can't see how. Everything that has brought you here has been for a purpose. I love that. There is some lesson, blessing, or miracle in every situation you've ever faced, good or bad. Trust in those who watch over you. Know that there are thousands, maybe millions of your ancestors who have walked before you, sharing their love, wisdom, and protection. I love that. Be sure to thank them because you wouldn't be here if they hadn't walked their hardships before you. Many have lived and died, laughed and suffered and sacrificed so that you can be here. Honor your ancestors by trusting them to watch over you. Call on them when you feel alone or afraid and give your fears to them, allowing them to hold you as you walk your path through life. Okay, I really like that, especially going into Thanksgiving, right? Because one of the things that we're doing is we're moving into winter, but this week specifically is Thanksgiving week. And I think this is a great reminder in terms of gratitude. And we'll do a gratitude poem in a hot second, but this one's already having this theme of being grateful to your ancestors for protecting you. I also like that reminder that they're always looking out for you either way. And you can call on them. But I think that when we look at winter, and I think winter is such a special time because, again, that is all about this kind of hibernation, this quiet time of introspection and learning about yourself. I think it's important to know that as you move into that time, which can feel kind of vulnerable, that you are still protected by your ancestors during this vulnerable period. So I think this is, frankly, a really strong reading for the collective where we're getting this message to continue on your path, to keep learning and growing. You're on the right path and you need to trust yourself a little bit and you need to listen to yourself a little bit more. And you might be ready to step up and lead on your own, right? But you have to know where you are in order to make that right next decision. But while you're on your journey, you're being protected by your ancestors, and you need to remember to have gratitude for them and celebrate your ancestors, especially during this time of gratitude. And you also need to know that there are sometimes forces working against you. Unfortunately, they're protecting you from them, but you also need to have your eyes open yourself so you can rely on them to protect you. But it's also really important that if you are faced with a decision that you need to make actively, that you're taking the time to really understand it and maybe look for some hidden motivations, because unfortunately, Jeremy's right. Sometimes people are out to hurt other people. And even though we're facing the world with, frankly, good and open hearts and good intentions, not everybody is. So that's an unfortunate reminder that as much as the universe does have your back and your ancestors do too, there are some things you sometimes need to do to keep your eyes open. Because remember, this isn't tarot. We're not the fool tripping blindly through our journey, right? We're being intentional about our journey. We're being protected, but we also need to keep our eyes open and make good decisions. So I think that's a wonderful reading for the collective. Before I move on to the next reading, I'd love to know if you have any comments or questions about that so far. We'll still be working with the same deck for the next reading that we're doing, but let's just take a moment and just be appreciative of the messages that we've gotten so far, and just be grateful that we've got this gift of being able to get some guidance and get some messages today. We're just going to take a moment for that gratitude. Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, I think so too. I think that that is really helpful, and a really strong message, and frankly, a really clear message as well. All right, next we're moving into our harvest reflection. So, our harvest reflection is what have we gained this year? And so, I know I always talk about moving into winter, it's important to really be introspective and reflective and learn. And so, I think this is a great opportunity to reflect back on what have we learned this year? What have we gained? Oh my gosh. Okay, the cards are already starting to jump, but none of them really fully came out. So, what have we harvested this year? What have we gained? What have we learned? The veil. The veil says, it's quite possible your eyes have become the fog in which you dwell, a half swallowed glimpse of all that you truly are or can be, that the tears you bleed are ready for the storms to turn the skies inward. Interesting. Your eyes have become the fog in which you dwell. Let's look that one up. What have we gained this year? I'm trying not to get distracted by some of the cards that are in the book because they're so good. Sorry. Not gonna lie, I was getting a little distracted. I was flipping through. All right. The key words from the veil is crossing and revealing truth or concealment. I am giving you that significant look because I feel like this is going to be a big one. Okay. The veil is at the very heart of Samhain. On this night, the veil between worlds is at its thinnest, and the spirit realm is as close as it's ever going to be here on earth. That means you have a toll-free call to every spiritual helper from the gods and goddesses, to your ancestors, your angels, ghosts, you name it. Each year, you have a chance at receiving supercharged advice from those who know everything in the entire universe. The Veil card has come into your reading because new truths will soon be revealed in your situation. Things are being uncovered that were waiting for the conditions to be just right so they can present themselves to you in the most effective way. Be sure to keep your mind open to receiving messages in unusual ways. Notice any recurring signs or symbols or even feelings. There is no coincidence for you at this time. So, if we think about the blessings that we've been given this year, what have we harvested? What have we gained? It looks like we've been sent some insights. We've been sent some signals of insights. And this card is a reminder to reflect on those signals or symbols that you're being sent and being given. So, as you enter this time of reflection and introspection, I think that this is a reminder that your ancestors have been telling you something and maybe you haven't been listening. And so, what you've gained is, basically the opportunity to have this knowledge and these insights if you reflect on the signs that you've been sent. And I know that that's been super true for me this year, where so many things have become more clear to me about my own path. And this has been such a huge year of learning and transitions and change. Personally, I had a huge tower moment, and that tower moment was needed because, the universe was like, hey, you're on a path that isn't for you anymore. And I wasn't changing it myself, even though I kind of knew. I wasn't paying attention to the signs, and that led to a tower moment, which was very necessary. And so if you look back on your year, I'm curious, what signs have you been given, even if they weren't as blatant as a huge tower moment? It sounds like someone has been sending you some signs and some signals, and maybe you have paid attention to them, and maybe you need to reflect on them some more as we enter this very introspective period of winter. So keep that in mind. That is part of your harvest this year, is these messages that you've been sent. Good reminder to listen to them, I think, is what I'm getting at. All right. So what else have we gained this year? What else has the collective gained? What else are we harvesting from 2024 as we reflect back on the year and move into 2025? The wind is just howling outside. It is really setting a vibe. It's such a fun late fall day here in Texas where it is suddenly warmer again, but that wind is crazy. Guess what? We just pulled the witch card again. This is not a small deck, and so it's not a coincidence that we're getting this message again. So I think that this means that the collective needs to think really hard about what this card is telling us about where we are on our journey. Really, the vibe I'm getting is that we each need to be more honest about where we are on that journey. Because remember, it was like if you're at the beginning of this journey, then this card is telling you you're on the right path and that you need to dig deeper and learn more on that path. And that if you are more experienced on that path, that this might be a sign that it's time for you to step up. And stepping up is a huge responsibility. And sometimes we're scared of that. That's where I think imposter syndrome comes in. But this card is a reminder that you do have everything you need. You are everything you need in order to take that next step. So for the collective, I think what I'm saying and what I feel like this card is challenging you to do is to be a little bit more honest about where you are on that journey and what you need to dig deeper on. And if you're ready to take a more leadership role, then you need to do that. And you need to trust that you have everything you need inside of you. So this is what you've harvested. This is what you've gained this year, is that readiness to continue on that journey. And by continue, I mean take the next step. Not just keep doing what you're doing, but take that next step, whatever that looks like. And just trust that you have what you need. Trust that the ancestors have your back. Trust that you're being sent messages and guidance to do what you need to be doing. So I think this is really doubling down on that message. Well, now I'm interested to see what the third card holds for us. And again, the question, right? Oh, that just jumped right out. Is what does the collective need to know? What have we gained this past year? You see my face I'm making? Because this card is really funny. The coming of winter. What have we just been talking about? Like, how perfect is this, right? So what does this card say? It comes in lullabies deep within your mirrored flesh. Alas, it is time to lay your quivering chest upon the winter's coming. I can't wait to see what this says because the vibes I'm getting are pretty strong from this card. So I really, really, really can't wait to see what the guidebook says about this one because, like I said, I'm getting some really strong vibes. The key words are reflection and rest, which is obviously what we've been talking about this whole time. Can I just show you how big this deck is? Like, this is crazy that we're getting these cards jumping out like this. All right. Reflection and rest, which is exactly what we've been talking about. The outside world can seem such a cold and distant place. It can be tough to navigate the trail buried beneath the snow. It is hard to feed your soul when your surroundings offer little nourishment. In the dead of winter, life can be beautiful, still, peaceful, blisteringly cold, unforgiving, and changeable. Interesting. There is but one thing to do when the winter storms come blowing: seek shelter, to rest, recharge, and reflect. And Jeremy, I have to say, I think this is such a great message for the collective, but I feel like it's also a really good message for you. I'm glad that you're here for this reading because this is really, I'm definitely getting a real connection on this one. We must all take refuge within ourselves from time to time. Our souls need the energy of winter to slow us down so that we can serve our strength for when we need it. A harsh lesson, but learning to face the winters of our lives prepares us for facing the future. Take the time to reflect on your choices and the consequences they reveal. Ooh, that's intense. Jeremy says this is a good one. Yeah, it is. I really like that. Take the time to reflect on your choices and the consequences they reveal. So whoever's watching this, because I know people are going to watch this on replay, I highly suggest making sure you have your journal. And before I put this up for replay, I'm going to update the notes to say that. I think that you guys need to be writing down these messages and be prepared to journal through them. I think this is really, really intense. Take the time to reflect on your choices and the consequences they reveal. Look for ways to evaluate the path you've walked. Learn from your mistakes and celebrate your triumphs without harsh judgment. Okay, this is so huge because I have been preparing for my end of year reflection process. I do a really deep, intensive personal and professional reflection at the end of every year. And for my business, which is about work and like productivity and stuff, I have been making these end of year reflection guides. And it's so funny because this is almost word for word what I put in the intro on how to do this self reflection, with learning from your mistakes, celebrating your triumphs without judgment. Because we can't learn from our mistakes if we're busy judging ourselves for them. Like, you do need to be able to look at that mistake without judgment, because that frees you up to say it was a mistake, right? If you know you're not judging yourself, you're not going to hide from the fact that you made a mistake. And the only way to learn from it is to be honest with yourself and be able to really reflect on it and be able to know what went into making that mistake, as well as what goes into making our successes. We need to know why something we did that worked, right? Okay. So when the winter winds blow into your spread, it is time for self-reflection. Failure to learn from your experiences often causes the repeat of mistakes. It's time to review the choices you've made without the opinions of others as well. So let's talk about that first part. Failure to learn from your experiences often causes the repeat of mistakes. This is a lesson I learned this year. And I think that, like, if I'm saying, what have I learned from this year? This is a good one, which is that you will keep being put in the same situations until you learn to do something differently. And this is the same thing. If you don't learn from those mistakes, you're going to keep making them, basically. And that is something personally I harvested from this year, is learning how to break my own patterns. Like, not like huge catastrophic ones, but sometimes they lead to huge catastrophic things, the little ones, if you let them keep going, if you don't break that pattern. So that's really resonating with me, and I hope it is with you guys as well. And again, I strongly suggest writing this down and then really deeply reflecting on that later. And then it's time to review the choices you've made without the opinions of others, because I think other people's voices can be so loud and sometimes they can cloud our own thought processes. And I had a really good friend come to stay with me a couple weeks ago, and she and I had the same conversation. She likes to really talk things out. And when she's on her walks, she's always calling somebody. And finally, I was like, hey, you need to kind of learn to sit with your own thoughts a little bit, because you need to listen to yourself more. Like, you need to give yourself room away from other voices so you can learn to listen to your own voice again, which, the witch card, right? Like, you need to be listening to what's within you because you have the answers. So I like that, without the opinions of others. What choices make your heart happy? Oh my gosh, I'm just going to say that again because I really want some of you to write this down, because I think that we're so used to doing what we're supposed to do that we don't often think about what we want to do and what really makes us happy. Not what we should do, but what do we want? What choices left you numb or lacking in inspiration? That's a great reflection question. I'm going to add that to my reflection journal because that's so good. What choices left you numb or lacking in inspiration? What is holding you back, and what resources could you use more of? What's holding you back? And if you had these other resources, how could you keep moving forward? Again, the witch card. Really, really good. Use the answers to questions like these to get a better understanding of what truly makes you happy and to form a plan to start shifting your life towards the image of your choosing, right? Choosing. That's so good. This card comes with a message to rest. The world will wait for you. Give your mind, body, and soul time to be still. Taking time to recharge is not laziness. It is the choice of supporting yourself. You'll have more strength, energy, and focus to devote time to the things you love when you're rested. And honestly, you will enjoy them more when you're rested as well. I think this is so huge. And it's so funny because I was talking about productivity the other day. And that was one of the things I said about productivity as well, is that you have to take breaks and you have to rest. You're just not your best self in any area of your life if you're not rested and if you're not recharging your batteries. And the coming of winter is our reminder to rest and recharge. Oh, that was so good. Just very grateful for this message. Okay. And then we're going to move on to our next reading. And this is about letting go before winter. Okay. So, with the coming of winter, we're resting, we're reflecting, and we've just learned some things that we need to be reflecting on. These are the messages that are our harvest, basically. What should we be reflecting on as we move into winter? And now we're going to learn about what we need to be releasing. So, as we prepare for the winter months, it's important to release what no longer serves us. So, let's pull a card to discover what we need to let go of as we step into this new season. So, I think we're just going to pull one card for this one, see what it says. I'm actually going to take another drink for my gorgeous octopus mug. How cute is that? How are we doing on the incense? All right. It's a little more than halfway. What do we need to let go of? I have like one or two that keep kind of wanting to jump out, but not really. All right. Very surprised by this card. All right, Jeremy says, eager to see what comes up for letting go. As am I. So if this one doesn't resonate, Jeremy, we might have to pull a second one because I'm very surprised by this one. This is the healer card. It's so funny. I don't know why, but she really reminds me of Harrow. And I don't know why. Listen as the medicine bleeds through her teeth, a river of mercy blessed by mother, seen only by those who hold her mirror. So let's see what that is telling us. All right, the keywords for the healer card. Yeah, Jeremy says you can see Hero too. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know what it is. Keywords, guide and facilitator. And again, this is an answer to the question of what do we need to let go of as we move into winter. Okay, I think I'm getting it. I think something just came to me. So let's see what it says. We all come into the human experience with the use of energy and intuition. Among us are those who are called to be healers. They are the wise ones who've made a conscious choice to devote themselves to guiding others on their paths. Healers can be found in all religions and traditions, each with something beautiful and unique to contribute to the collective energy of the world. You may know them as shamans, medicine men and women, priestesses, wise ones, great ones, the list goes on. If you have pulled the gift of healer, know that you are being called to initiate yourself as one of the wise ones. You are meant to be a guide for those who are finding their way, and there are many ways you can do this. As a healer for your family and neighborhood, or through building a community on social media offering wisdom. It doesn't matter how you choose to heal. All that matters is that you do. This one is like really getting me. I could see letting go of a guide as being in line with the other thing you said about not having others cause distraction and needing to make your own choices, like not listening to other voices. That's a really interesting thought, Jeremy. I think that there's something to that. If you have thought about becoming a healer, this card is a resounding yes. Some healing practices are crystal therapist, Reiki practitioner, tarot reader, psychic, doula, death doula, herbalist, and so on. You may have something you've practiced for years, or you may feel called to learn a new skill. Trust your intuition. You can become a facilitator of healing. Creating healing tools such as guided meditations, healing jewelry, candles, and even creating your own oracle deck can provide others with a path to heal themselves. You create the path for others to walk. You are unique and have something to share with the world. Okay, this is like really powerful for me because this is so in line with the work personally I'm trying to do. So if I put the healer card in the context of what do we need to let go of, I'm getting a couple different things. But what I got at first was, hey, this is moving into winter. What do we need to let go of before we move into winter? And some of that is letting go of needing to take care of other people because we need to recharge our own batteries. The other thing I'm getting from this card, and this is a reading for the collective, so which of these interpretations resonates with you is very personal because I think that it could mean one of these three things. So the second thing is letting go of the things that are preventing you from becoming the healer and becoming the next stage of yourself. And that's aligned with what we're seeing from that witch card coming out twice. And where I kept saying, hey, maybe it's time for you to step into this leadership role, this priestess role. Well, in this case, it's the healer role. So it's also possible that what this card is telling us right now is to let go of the things that are keeping us from doing that, letting go of our own internal obstacles, our limiting beliefs, again, that imposter syndrome, letting that go. So that's another interpretation. And then to Jeremy's point, for people who have found themselves overly dependent on the opinions and the guidance of others, one of the things that you definitely need to let go of moving into winter is this reliance on having a guide, because you do need to learn to listen to your own voice. And I think that as we picture ourselves kind of snuggled up in our caves for winter, that we need to be alone with our thoughts. So I think those are the three interpretations of this card. And for some of you out in the collective, all three may be true. And for some of you, one of these interpretations might be more true than another. And I have to say, like, even for me, I think all three are true, right? And I really strongly suggest, again, kind of sitting down and journaling and being brutally honest with yourself and letting go of the thoughts and beliefs that hold you back from hearing the message of this card and the witch card. And that could be the opinions of other people. And it could be, again, our own self-limiting beliefs. But it does say you are unique. So wherever you are in your journey, you have a gift. You have something to offer that's uniquely you, and you need to be giving that. And so it's time to let go of all the mess in our heads that keeps us from doing that. So that's a great card for letting go before moving into the season of winter. That is really profound. I really like that. So I'd love to know, Jeremy, do you want me to pull another letting go card or move on to the next prompt? Because that, I think, was a hugely powerful message. I feel like we got our answer, and it's such a complex answer that I think everybody needs to sit with it and journal with it and figure out what it means to them individually. Jeremy says we can move on. Because yeah, I feel like that was a complete answer personally. I really like that. All right. I think our next prompt is gratitude. So we are going to pull a card that is going to talk to us about gratitude and just getting a gratitude message, something about gratitude itself or something we need to be grateful for. So this is all about a message of gratitude. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold up 4 cards. Jeremy, since you're chatting, sorry to put you on the spot, but I want you to pick which card we're going to talk about. This is 1, 2, 3, or 4. So 1, 2, 3, or 4. Just pick a number and let me know which card is going to be our gratitude card. Okay, Jeremy says 3. This is a message about gratitude. So it feels like we may need to parse this one carefully. Jeremy, the card Jeremy picked is Greet the Darkness. Just very appropriate. Here where the spine bends and the mouth quivers, breathes the hidden, the pieces that make you whole, but cut deep with all of their sharp edges. So again, this is a message about gratitude. So let's read the description on this one, and maybe that will get us closer to what the meaning of this card is, past the surface, which is what's making me giggle. Jeremy says, of course it is. Okay. This is very funny because I've been encouraging some people to do their shadow work, and I feel like this is related to that. The key words for the Greet the Darkness card are self and inner truth. So let's read more about that. Darkness. You might get a sense of terror from what you can't see. But not all hidden things are bad. There are many things that you cannot see that hold the secret to life, abundance, and renewal. Like the lotus flower that blooms from the darkness of muddy waters, there's beauty in the darkness for those who know where to look with their heart. I truly believe that. You have pulled Greet the Darkness as a call to go deep into your dark corners. There are parts of you that are beautiful yet remain undiscovered. You must allow yourself to open to the unknown. You can do this by confronting old wounds, lost memories, feelings of shame, guilt, and disappointment. This is called shadow work. I'm telling you, this card is so perfect. Like, I have definitely been getting this vibe about the collective and this need to do the shadow work. So this is called shadow work, a practice that allows you to make friends with your demons rather than hide from them. What seems like a monster is really a lost part of you needing love and support. When feelings such as anger, resentment, and chaos come round, it is because those feelings are trying to protect you in the only way they know how. Anger only knows anger. It can only offer its support that way. Chaos only knows chaos, so that is the only way it can get your attention. These feelings are trying to help you find the beautiful gems that are waiting in the dark spaces of your being. Confront whatever feelings you have surrounding your situation. Allow those feelings to surface and face them without fear. Greet them and ask them how you can work together. Journal your meditative conversations with your dark parts. Within their words of advice, you will discover the lost or missing pieces of yourself. And again, this was a message about gratitude. And so I think this is all about learning to be grateful for your whole self and learning to appreciate the shadow self as well. And that the shadow self is trying to protect you the only way it knows how. So I highly recommend that anybody who is watching or listening to this reading really pay attention to the words of the Greet the Darkness card and really take this as a call and an opportunity to do your shadow work and journal about it and learn what your shadow is protecting you from and how, and really look for those glimmers in the darkness, like the card said. So yeah, that is another good one. I think that is a really profound message, especially moving into winter, which is, as we've said, the time for rest and reflection. And so knowing that winter is a beautiful time, one of the most perfect times to do your shadow work, and that you're being called to do that shadow work right now. I think that is just very, very profound and an amazing card for today. All right. I think what we want to do next is embracing the energy of Thanksgiving. So, Thanksgiving is a time to connect with family, friends, and to reflect on what we're grateful for. So, let's pull a card to help us embrace the energy of connection, warmth, and gratitude. So, we just got a very specific message about gratitude related to shadow work. And now we're going to pull a card that is about the spirit of Thanksgiving. So, what does the collective need to hear going into Thanksgiving to get into the spirit of Thanksgiving, which is about connection, warmth, and gratitude? And that can be connection with family, friends, your shadow self, because we just got to greet the darkness again. We get it. We need to do our shadow work. We need to connect with our shadow. We really get it. I promise. Just set that aside. Sorry, Oracle deck. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. Okay. Another card just immediately jumped out. This is the card we're going to do for the spirit of Thanksgiving, which is Wolf. It's a really pretty card, though. I'm going to show you the card again because that is actually a lovely, lovely card. Devour the ferocious calling within the howling of your spirit. Run wildly into the freedom of your knowing. Okay, let's look up the wolf card and see how that's helping us with the spirit of Thanksgiving. This is so funny because there are so many cards in this deck that we're not seeing because we're getting some like repeated themes and messages, which is how you know that these are some really targeted messages for the collective right now, because there's a lot in here that just is not showing up because these are the messages we need to be hearing right now. So for Wolf, the keywords are instinct and freedom. Our instincts are a roadmap to surviving this human experience. Instincts give us the urge to eat when hungry, to cover up when cold, to seek sex when aroused, and to sense danger even when we cannot see it with our eyes. Instinct and intuition are gifts from the powers that be to help us discover happiness, support, and well being. Intuition is our inner knowing that connects us to the intelligence of the spirit realm and to the intelligence of the earth. Sadly, many of us have muted our animal natures. We've become too reliant on what we can see and have forgotten to tap into the intelligence that is already available to us. Wolf is calling to remind you that you know your way home. Okay. You may feel lost or confused about something in your life. Wow. You may not know which direction to travel or what is safe to pick up along the way. Wolf allows your instinct to take over. You receive this guidance through the urges you feel. It's like a push and a pull right in the center of your being. That is so interesting. Take a few moments to feel these urges when faced with a decision. You can start with something small like which toothpaste to buy or which blog to read. This will help you to build trust in your instincts. Eventually, you will be able to tap into this energy at will and use it for every decision you make in life. So, Wolf is calling you to hone your intuition and your instincts, but I also feel like it's telling you to be more grounded and connected with yourself and to be able to listen to your body as well. Like you'll feel it in your stomach. And some of these instincts are very physical instincts. So I also feel like it's telling you to be more grounded in your body and to listen to yourself and to your intuition. And we talked earlier about shutting out external voices and learning how to listen to yourself. And this feels like going even deeper into that theme of being really connected and grounded in your body and listening to your animal instincts a little bit more and not being so cerebral about everything. So I think that's a really important message. What does that have to do with getting into the spirit of Thanksgiving, which is about connection and warmth? I feel like some of those instincts are driving us towards connection, where sometimes our overthinking and our anxieties and some of the brain stuff can get in the way of that. But I don't think that's all the message is. I think it is about listening to the animal self and also remembering that wolves are a communal animal. They love the pack. And so I think that just reminding ourselves that our instinct to find your way home and to be with what's familiar isn't a bad thing. And that our instinct for connection isn't bad either, and that we need to listen to it and stop overthinking it and making it harder than it is. So yeah, wolf, surprisingly good card for that one. I quite like it. We're going to do one more from this deck, and then if we want to, we can move on to some cards from some other decks. And just really remembering that we've got these themes of like introspection, trusting ourselves, listening to the ancestors, doing our shadow work, and just really listening to our bodies and to our gut is really important. So last one for this deck. What does the collective need to know about preparing for winter, preparing for this time of introspection and rest? How can we get ready for the winter season? Okay, it jumped out and flipped itself over. Oh my gosh. These cards are intense. Like, I know I say like Oracle because the themes and like the intuition just like really jump out at you, but some of these have been really a lot of work. We are putting in the work today. This is the grief card. So what do you need to know about going into winter? How do you prepare for winter? Grief. It is but a mere glimpse of nothingness hidden away deep within the chambers of your mourning, and the red clover's birthing lost illusion. I know. Jeremy just said, my goodness, I know. This is like grim. And I know we think of winter as like the season of death, right? Like we've done the harvest where we've, harvested all the life from spring and summer, and we're in the season of death in winter. But dang, that is grim. Okay, let's see if the card interpretation is not as bad as what I'm thinking. The guidebook doesn't even want me to get to that page. It keeps skipping over it. Okay. Looks like we'll be letting go of something. So the key words for grief are mourning and loss. Grief is the uncomfortable dance between feeling everything and feeling nothing. And if you have ever grieved deeply, you know this is true. It isn't exclusive to losing someone. Grief can manifest when you feel like a failure or when you have regret. It can appear when you feel overwhelmed or when you feel guilty. It can leave you feeling it all, then feeling nothing, or even feeling both at the same time. And all of those examples make sense because in all those examples, you're grieving something. The loss of your view of yourself, you're grieving the, having to let go of this picture of success. Yourself as a perfect person, not that I deal with perfectionism. Likewise, we can be so lost in our grief that we forget to live. Oh, I see where this is going. We mourn for things that have long since slipped through our fingers. We find ourselves in a sort of limbo, living half dead. This is what can happen when you spend too much time searching for and missing what you've lost and forgetting to be grateful for what's left behind. Pulling grief can mean you have a lack of satisfaction about where you are in life, what you have, or perhaps more appropriate, what you don't have. You're putting too much of your focus on what's missing and have cut off the rest of the world. There are still people and opportunities for you if you will only lift your head and take a look around. Life still goes on when you've suffered a loss. Mourn for the things you wanted and didn't get, or had and lost, but be sure to keep going. The universe never takes something away without giving you something to take its place. Okay, that is super intense. How we can prepare ourselves spiritually. So it sounds like during winter, as you're doing this reflection, you need to let go of grief. You need to recognize where you're holding on to something that's keeping you from fully living. And it sounds like during this winter time, you need to do the work to let go of whatever it is that you're regretting so that you can appreciate what you have and also just set that down and move forward, because you can't move forward if you're still holding on and letting this weigh you down. So that is a big, heavy message moving into winter. It's a good message. I think it's a necessary message for the collective. And I think that this is another good one to do your intense journaling about, is recognizing what regret you're holding on to that you need to let go of. And letting go means reorienting yourself to focus on appreciating what you have, because like the card says, the universe doesn't take something away without giving you something. But if you don't focus on that thing you're being given, you won't have it. You're just going to have the regret. So that's intense. But this is what we need to know, right? This is that sitting in discomfort for growth. And that is what winter is all about. Winter is all about being okay with that process and knowing that it's a cycle and that we go through this cycle in winter to learn these things we need to learn about these hard messages and be able to then move forward in the spring. So really timely messages for the collective. And I felt all of these cards very deeply. And even the ones where the message was more complex, I think that that's a good thing, because I think that we need to be putting, again, our own thoughts into those cards and into those messages and not just hearing the external voices. So the message is the message, if that makes any sense. So really powerful moving into this Thanksgiving week and as we prepare for the rest and reflection of winter. And I hope that those cards spoke to you, because they certainly did to me. And I think personally, I need a bit of a palate cleanser after that. So we are going to pull an angel number message, because I think that, we need a little bit of motivation to do that hard work that we just learned we have to be doing. And I know angel numbers are always helping me feel better. So this is our angel number deck that we'll be working with. And so what can the collective look forward to? Or what do we need to know from the angel messages coming out of that really intense reading we just had? That was pretty clear. We had 2 jump out. 3. Woo, okay. Oh, I like this one. The first one is 0. I am limitless. It's like in Mean Girls where she's like, the limit does not exist. Yes, there is no beginning and no end. All is infinite. Whew. It is time to develop your spiritual side. You are gaining new sight and understanding of both godly and earthly things. So you are limitless. You really are. There is no beginning and end. We are on this journey, and even the hard parts are part of the journey. The next one is 2. I am diplomatic. You have great talent for finding solutions. Your intuitive and unbiased nature allow you to see all sides of any situation and advise others towards the most fair and beneficial outcome. Okay, I love that. Yes, so this is, where you can channel that healer vibe, the priestess vibe, where you can help other people find solutions. I love that, because you can see all sides and advise others. Okay, and this one I love. This came up for me in one of those TikTok readings this morning, where it was saying that I'm going to see 11 or 111 or 1111. And so here we go with 111, which is I am creative. Oh, I love this. Angels are ready to fully support you in this endeavor so that you can co-create with the universe a life that you love. Oh my gosh, I love that. And because remember, I asked for kind of a message of hope coming out of that very challenging, pre-winter reading. And this is exactly that message that we needed to get, which is that angels are ready to fully support us in this endeavor. so that we can co-create with the universe a life that we love, which is what we're trying to do and why we need to learn those lessons and why we need to do that shadow work. And it's so great to know that the universe is on our side and supporting us. And this is an act of co-creation, and we have that support. Whew, very powerful reading today. Oh my gosh, I think we dug way deeper than I expected to, and probably more than you expected to as well. I hope you all enjoyed this reading. We will certainly be doing more, but just really take this with you. Rewatch this video if you need to, because I think that there's a lot that we do need to be journaling. I'm certainly going to be rewatching this and journaling on some of the prompts, and just really go into Thanksgiving week just with that feeling of gratitude, knowing that your ancestors have your back, the universe has your back, and that you need to be looking for connection and warmth, knowing that you've got that support. And that should fortify you, because after Thanksgiving, we're moving into winter and you'll be resting and reflecting and listening to your own voice more. All right. Thank you so much for joining. And oh, if you like the Seasons of the Witch deck, I know that this was really powerful and intense. So if you feel called to do your own readings and want to work with this deck, I do have a link to this deck in the video description. It is an affiliate link, so it does help support the channel if you want to support the Mystic Sisters. And if you're not comfortable with affiliate links, just go on Amazon and look up the deck. But otherwise, yeah, click the link, buy it, support the channel. Why not? Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye.